Welcome everybody, Brother Dan Goodwin, your host, the God's Final Jubilee program. We've got a blockbuster for you tonight. Now you might say when you get done watching this, what's this got to do with prophecy? Everything to do with prophecy, because I believe the Bible teaches that we're headed towards a one world global system. I believe we're almost there. By the way, the one world financial system is here right now. You don't believe me, do you? You don't believe that it's here. I'm telling you, the cashless society is here right now. Now, the mark of the beast is not here, but the cashless society is here. You can buy anything in the world pretty much without cash. In fact, there's a lot of things you cannot buy with cash. So the financial system, the global financial system's here. The global government is here. I mean, the United Nations is sitting right here in New York City. You understand that, right? And I realize that there's still borders, there's still kingdoms, there's still presidents and prime ministers of different nations, but the one world system is here. It's just a matter of time when the walls come down and one man takes the scene in Revelation 6 after the rapture and becomes what we call the Antichrist. And he's going to be crowned and he's going to rule the world. Now, if you're watching via my YouTube channel, I would encourage you to go to my website, godsfinaljubilee.com, and click on my Facebook page, the God's Final Jubilee Facebook page. Sign up for that. Like the page, because I've got dozens of folks watching right now live as I'm on live on Facebook, and folks are commenting and whatnot. So I would encourage you to do that. So. But the program tonight, we're going to talk about the one world order. Is America and the deep state, is the deep state pushing America into the one world system? I believe they are, and I believe some things I'm going to read for you tonight are going to be clear evidence of this. And it's unbelievable the corruptness in the United States government. I'm talking about Democrats and Republicans. Now, not all of them, but there's a system of corrupt people running our government, and I'm going to read about some of them here tonight. So, fasten your seatbelt. Let's jump right into this. And we have got a mess on our hands. We've got President Trump placed there, I believe, by God Almighty. You say, well, I don't like Donald Trump, he's a little crude. I don't care if you like Donald Trump or not. I don't care if he's crude. We didn't elect Donald Trump to be our pastor. We elected Donald Trump to drain the swamp. That's what we elected him for. And he's, I believe he's attempting to do that. He's already getting rid of a lot of government regulations. He's already trying to put some conservative constitutionalists on the Supreme Court. The second one is in the process now. And but this deep state government of ours is trying to destroy him. Now, the reason I'm doing this tonight, there's a lady on my Facebook page. In fact, she's watching right now. Her name is Olga. And she brought something to my attention recently. I got something buzzing around me here. She brought something to my attention recently that I had already heard about, but I decided to do a program on it, and this is the program here. We're going to talk about what's going on with the president and the Clintons and the Comeys and the Rosensteins and the Muellers and all these actors that are trying to subvert the election and throw out our duly elected president, and I believe our God-chosen president. So what's going on here? By the way, I was listening, I don't listen, but I saw Rush Limbaugh on the internet here, and I was reading a transcript of his program. It might have been Friday. It was Thursday, I think it was Friday. It was Open Line Friday. And by the way, Rush has been putting article after article on Facebook. Anybody follow Rush Limbaugh out there on Facebook? Pretty amazing. All of a sudden, he is coming up and he's naming names and he's giving his opinion on things. And along with, of course, Sean Hannity and some of the others on Fox News who seem to understand what's going on here. So let me read you a verse here I had planned to read. Righteousness. This is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 34. says this: righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. It's important that we get righteousness back in our country. And Rush Rush was talking about all this and what was going on with Jeff Sessions, and that's what brought up this program. Was somebody made the statement to me that they believe that Jeff Sessions is actually working behind the scenes and has sealed indictments on dozens of people, and is actually getting ready to bring people to justice, like the Clintons and all them. Now that's a big if there, and that sounds like a big conspiracy theory, but let's look at this. So I was reading the transcript of the Rush Limbaugh program, and believe it or not, somebody called in, and that's what they said. They said, Rush, I think you got this wrong. They said, Rush, I think that Mr. Sessions is in fact working behind the scenes, and Donald Trump knows it, and they're keeping it quiet and secret, and they've got sealed indictments, and they're going to prosecute these people very soon. Now I hope that that's true, but I can't hold out for that, and I don't think we should. I think we got to go on what we know, and we don't know that that's what's happening. So I think we got to go on what we know. If Mr. Sessions is not working behind the scenes, trying to bring justice, then he needs to be removed. He needs to be fired. He needs to be thrown under the bus immediately, because this is getting serious here. All right, so I was at the barbershop, and I can't remember what day what day it was. It wasn't many days ago. And my barber, as soon as I sat down, he's one of these right-wing guys. He's not into some of the stuff that I am, but he's more into political things. And he said, and I brought up some of the stuff about Sessions. Where's Mr. Sessions? He's hiding in a closet somewhere. And he said, stick to the plan. Hey, how many of you have heard that statement, stick to the plan? I'm seeing that all over the place now. Stick to the plan. What are they talking about? They're talking about the Q stuff. Have you heard of QAnon? I don't know what to think of Q. Again, I go on facts. I'm a Bible prophecy preacher and author. I've got to be careful. I try to check stuff out. I don't know what to believe about Q. Now some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. Just Google it. Just Google Q and a whole bunch of stuff will come up. I don't know what Q is. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if they know something. What they're saying is that there's that the military behind the scenes has organized and is working in line with, I guess, Jeff Sessions, and they're getting ready. We're getting ready to overthrow the evil and the bad actors and the criminals in our government. They go so far as to say that Guantanamo Bay has been enlarged, and they're getting ready at Guantanamo Bay to send dozens and dozens of these political actors in our country to Gitmo. Again, I don't know if that's true, and I got to go on facts. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I don't know. That, civil war may be getting ready to happen. So who knows? So I'm at the barbershop, and I get it. I get it on Facebook. It's all over the place out there. Rush Limbaugh. I mean, somebody called in and mentioned this, and it just happened to be at the end of his time limit. He had to end that call, and he didn't. I wished he'd have took the number and called the person back, but he didn't. But Rush generally doesn't go in those directions anyway. But so. Anyway, with that in mind, let me read for you some things that I printed off the internet. I believe this is from Patriots for Truth, and I don't know if these people are legit or not. Again, how do you know? How do you vet some of these places? I don't know. I also think that Roger Stone has something to do with what I'm going to read for you, but I can't be 100% sure who put this together. But Roger Stone has said a lot of what I'm going to talk about. Roger Stone has mentioned some of these. By the way, is it interesting they're going after him? Because he knows stuff. And so they're going after him. They say that they're going to go after Donald Trump Jr. very shortly. They're going to indict him because they want to go after the president. They think the president will resign or step down to save his family or whatever. So be praying. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the next few days. Be watching and be praying and be alert and be ready for whatever comes down the pike here. Gordon says Obama will be one of them taken to Gitmo. I hope so. Good to see you, Miss Olga. All right, let me read for you what I printed off the I'm not going to read it word for word. There's 4 or 5 pages here, but I highlighted a bunch of stuff for you tonight. Again, this is from, I think it's from Patriots for Truth, but I'm not sure of that. By the way, some of what I'm going to read, I looked at Snopes, and I never look at Snopes, but I did tonight. I looked at Snopes to see what they were saying. They actually verified some of the things on here. Well, what they claimed was a conspiracy was the conclusions that they came to. They did not dispute the facts of what I'm going to read. They disputed the conclusion that you make after you read these facts. I thought that was interesting. And so be careful of Snopes. I don't trust them as far as I could throw them. All right, so let me begin reading here. Someone says, I'm passing this on from someone who, this is connecting the dots, and this is unbelievable. And by the way, I have vetted some of this. I haven't vetted all of it, but I have looked up some of this just to make sure that some of these associations were right, and everything that I did check was right, but I didn't check it all, so I can't guarantee everything I'm going to read here is 100% accurate. But I have a feeling it is. But so let me read what it says here. Here's what it looks when you put all the pieces together. And again, Rush is talking about this, some of this that's on here. My barber, Facebook, Roger Stone, and Fox News, some of the new books that Fox News people have put out. By the way, Friday, we just heard about something that I'm going to read here that came out about Mr. Comey, James Comey, and the millions of dollars that he made. That just came out, so that proves what's in this document here. All right, let's jump right into this. It smells like conspiracy and treason. Everyone needs to hear this. From 2001 to 2005, there was an ongoing investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Anybody remember that? And by the way, during the election of Clinton and Donald Trump, some of that foundation stuff, Donald Trump kept bringing it up. That investigation was way back in the 2001 to 2005, 10 or 11 years, 10 years before the election, right? A grand jury had even been impaneled to look into the Clinton Foundation. Governments from around the world had donated to this quote-unquote charity that the Clintons have. By the way, I believe, I don't know if it's in here, but I read somewhere 6% of that of the Clinton Foundation money actually goes to charity. Shocking, isn't it? Yet, from 2001 to 2003, none of these donations to the Clinton Foundation were declared. I remember this. I remember when this came out. I remember not too long ago some of this was in the news, and that it was not, it hadn't been, what's the word? It hadn't been put out there, and which is illegal. Now, you would think that an honest investigator would be able to figure this out. Look who took over the investigation of the Clinton Foundation in 2005. Here's where it gets interesting. Because you're going to hear the names you've been hearing for the last 2 years. For the last year and a half or two, you've been hearing these names that are going to be mentioned here. And they didn't just suddenly come on the scene. They've been in the background for many years involved with the Clintons and each other. It's shocking. So, in 2005, who took over the Clinton Foundation investigation? None other than James Comey. You've heard of him, right? We know him as the former FBI director, but before he was the FBI director, he was something else. Coincidence? Guess who transferred into the Internal Revenue Service to run the tax-exempt branch of the IRS? None other than Lois Lerner, who, by the way, is still collecting a full pension after she used an arm of the government, an institution of the government was used against political opponents, the conservatives, in the IRS, a felony, a crime, and she got away with it. Wasn't even required to testify. Remember, she claimed the fifth. She didn't go to jail. She didn't get charged. She's collecting a full pension tonight, sitting back in her easy chair, enjoying life. Now, while Mr. Manafort's in a little prison cell for the little thing that he did. Okay? But this is just strange coincidences, right? Guess who ran the tax division inside the Department of Justice from 2001 to 2005? None other than the Assistant Attorney General of the United States, Rod Rosenstein. Rod Rosenstein ran the tax division, which would have looked into Hillary's Clinton Foundation. So Lois Lerner, who definitely was biased, used her institution, used the IRS against political opponents and got away with it. Even with the Republican Congress, she got away with it. And she's guilty as sin. And not only that, Rod Rosenstein was around then and was involved with the IRS and with the tax division of the Department of Justice from 2001 to 2005. You say, well, that's 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, but that's when all this was going on in the background. Guess who the director of the FBI was? Guess who the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation during this time frame? Another coincidence? It was Robert Mueller. Hey, have you heard of him? Yeah, he's the one investigating our duly elected president who has not committed a crime. There's no crime been mentioned. He was put to investigate something without even any evidence of a crime. He was put there to look for a crime. Unheard of. Unheard of. By the way, we're talking about the deep state trying to bring in the one world government, because that's what this is really. When you step back and look down from God's perspective, that's what's going on. This is the deep state not wanting to let go of the system that they've had control of for many years. And in comes Donald Trump, who I believe was not part of the system, was not supposed to get in there, shocked everybody, shocked the DNC, shocked Hillary, shocked Republicans. And boy, has he shaken things up. The man doesn't sleep. The man doesn't sleep. And I'm excited about it. So, Robert Mueller comes on the scene. He's around, running the FBI way back then. What do all four of these characters have in common? We got Lois Lerner, we got Rod Rosenstein, we've got James Comey, Robert Mueller, James Comey, Rod Rosenstein, and Lois Lerner. What do these four have in common? They have in common that they're frontline investigators into the Clinton Foundation. Isn't that something? And every one of them is dirty. Every one of them is rotten. Every one of them is biased. So now let's fast forward to 2009. 2009, what happens? Let's see. James Comey leaves the Justice Department to go work a private job at Lockheed Martin. By the way, this is the story that I just heard, I think it was Friday, a few days ago. There's someone who wrote a book, and I think Sean Hannity or somebody had him on, and they were talking about this. Nobody knew about this. James Comey made a ton of money. And they weren't disputing his right to make money. They were disputing his position and the fact of how he has stood against Donald Trump and others, and he's used his position to make millions of dollars. James Comey leaves the Justice Department to go cash in at Lockheed Martin. Hillary Clinton, this is 2009 by the way, Hillary Clinton is running the State Department. Remember, she's Secretary of State under Obama in 2009. She's been there just a short time. Official government business. She is running the State Department on her own personal email server, but nobody knew it. At least nobody in the Republican system. I mean, Obama knew, that's a fact. He lied and said he didn't, but he emailed back and forth with her. He knew she had a private system. So, what comes up in 2009? Uranium One. Now, you and I never heard about Uranium One until a couple years ago, right? We know about it now. But this happened 2009 when she's Secretary of State. Let's, like all good public servants do, supposedly looking out for America's best interest, she decides to support the decision and approve the sale of 20% of the U.S. uranium to none other than the Russians. Why is Donald Trump being investigated for Russian collusion? These are the people who are connected to the Russians. Obama is the one who whispered and said, well, after my election I'll have more flexibility to talk to you and to do things. You can't make this up. By the way, this is a fact. Nobody's disputing that 20% of our uranium was sold or given to Mr. Putin. Now, you would think that this is a fairly straight-up deal, except it wasn't. America got absolutely nothing out of this deal. However, prior to the sale's approval, no other than Bill Clinton goes to Moscow right before the deal went through. Bill Clinton goes to Moscow, gets paid 500 G's, $500,000 for a 1-hour speech. Now, why is Donald Trump being looked into, and these people are not being looked into? He gets paid $500,000 to go speak in Russia while the uranium deal is going on, and no red flags went up with anybody, because nobody knew about it. He gets paid $500,000 for a 1-hour speech. Then he meets with Vladimir Putin at his home for a few hours. And I doubt any of us even heard about that. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. No big deal, right? Well, not so fast. The FBI had a mole inside the money laundering and bribery scheme. Now, I can't back this up. I can't prove this. I have not vetted this. But this is what they're saying here. The FBI had a mole inside the Clinton Foundation somewhere, and was getting information. Robert Mueller was the FBI director during this time frame, 2009. Robert Mueller was in charge of the FBI in 2009 when the uranium was sold to Russia, when Bill Clinton went over there, got a $500,000 paycheck for an hour speech, met in the home of Mr. Putin for over 2 hours. The FBI director is Mr. Mueller, but he's not investigating the Clintons, he's investigating Donald Trump and Mr. Manafort and Mr. Cohen and Flynn and a bunch of other people who have nothing to do with any of this. Who was handling the case when the Justice Department out of the U.S. Attorney General's office out of Maryland? None other than Rod Rosenstein. And what happened to this informant, this mole that they had? The Department of Justice placed a... Now, I have heard this. Now, again, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm pretty sure this was in the news some time ago, this gag order on this mole, this FBI agent. A gag order was placed on him and threatened to lock him up if he spoke about it. Why? Why, we should be asking. How does 20% of the most strategic asset of the United States of America, uranium, which is used for nuclear bombs, right? How does 20% of that end up in Russian hands when the FBI has an informant, a mole, providing inside information to the FBI on a criminal enterprise, the Clinton Foundation? Very soon after, the sale was approved. $145 million in donations made their way into the Clinton Foundation from entities directly connected to the Uranium One deal. Is that bribery? Does anybody think? Guess who was still at the IRS working the charitable division? Lois Lerner. when this happens, 2009. Right, she's going to tell us, right? Because she hates Democrats. She hates liberalism. She hates crime. No, she's a criminal. And she's part of this system. Just coincidences, right? All these people here, these 4 people that we've mentioned here. All right. Now we're going to move to 2015. Now we're getting close to the election. This is shocking what I'm going to read right here. This is shocking. The door was opened accidentally, the door got opened because of Benghazi. Let me read what it says here. Due to a series of tragic events in Benghazi, and after the 9 investigations in the House of Representatives, Senate, and State Department, Trey Gowdy who was running the 10th investigation into Benghazi, as the chairman of the Select Committee on Benghazi, discovers something. He discovers that Hillary ran the State Department on an unclassified and unauthorized personal email server in her basement. He also discovered that none of those emails had been turned over when she departed her public service as Secretary of State, which I think was 2012. As Secretary of State, which was required by law. He also discovered that there was top secret information contained within her personal archived email. You and I were not supposed to know about this server in her basement. The reason we know about it is Benghazi, which she was a part of, and that was a cover-up. And those men died, they were allowed to die there. I'm convinced of that. These investigations were convinced of it. But as a result of that, Hillary's emails came to light that, hey, where are the emails? And they found out about the server. She didn't turn over all those emails. Remember, they kept subpoenaing it. And remember, this isn't in the paper here, but they subpoenaed her emails, and what did she do? She deleted 30-some thousand of them. At least that's how many we think, we're being told. And then they bleached their hard drives and busted up phones and all that. Why? That was government property, by the way, and it was under subpoena, but they didn't care. They destroyed it. Why? Because they don't want to go to jail, because they commit felonies and treason against the United States. I got a big wow here. Trey Gowdy, as a result, accidentally, of investigating the Benghazi thing, found out about the email server in Hillary's basement that has been hacked by Russia and many other people, and was unsecured, and it was used so that her emails would never see the light of day, so that nobody could ever look at what they had been doing and see the criminality of it. That's why. That's exactly why. I don't care what anybody says. So, sparing you the State Department's cover-up, the delay tactics that were employed, and the outright lies that spewed forth from the necks of the Kerry State Department, we shall leave it with this. They did everything humanly possible to cover for Hillary, and they have been for all these years. Because they're all in on it, folks. Now this is amazing, he says. Guess who became the FBI director in 2013? None other than who? James Comey. He took Mueller's place, I think. Mueller was the FBI director. By the way, Mueller wanted that job back when Donald Trump took office, and he turned him down for that position, and the next day Mueller was appointed as the counsel, the special counsel. I'll stab him in the back, yeah. So, shocking stuff. James Comey becomes the FBI director in 2013, who secured 17 no-bid contracts for his employer, Lockheed Martin, when he was in private business with the State Department, and was rewarded with a $6 million thank you present when he departed his employer. This is all in this new book that just came out, and it was mentioned on Sean Hannity's show. Amazing how all these, by the way, this was written before that book, so I think that sheds proof that this document I'm reading is factual. Because this just came out, and Hannity even said, I didn't know this. So this has just come out. Now, he is the FBI director in charge of the Clinton email investigation. Remember, this is after 2013. During the Benghazi thing. Now they're investigating her emails. What's Comey going to do? After, of course, his FBI investigates the Lois Lerner matter at the Internal Revenue Service, and he exonerates her. He exonerates Lois Lerner and determines that there were no crimes there. Shocking. Lois Lerner is out on the street enjoying life. All right, fast forward a year, April 2016. James Comey drafts an exoneration letter of the Hillary Rodham Clinton. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice handing out immunity deals like candy. They didn't even convene a grand jury. We're talking about the investigation into Hillary Clinton's unlawful server in her basement, and the fact that she sent classified information on that server to people, including Abergene, or whatever that woman's name, and her husband, the guy who's in jail now. By the way, it just came out, that computer, the laptop of a bit, how do you say her name? Abuna Abergene or something. I can't say her name. Remember that her husband was caught texting a 15-year-old girl. He's in jail. They got that laptop. Now they just found out. They didn't look at 1% of the emails on that laptop. Don't you want to punch somebody in the nose? What is wrong with Jeff Sessions? Jeff Sessions, when are you going to investigate the real crimes against our nation here? Treasonous crimes. So, James Comey exonerates Hillary Rodham Clinton. Doesn't even investigate. Doesn't even find all them emails and look at them. Doesn't care about the busted up devices, the Blip Beach, and the 30,000 subpoenaed emails that she deleted. No crime here. Nothing to see here, folks. Everything's all right. This is Hillary Clinton. She's above us, so we can't do anything to her. She's a walking statesman of our country. Like a lightning bolt of statistical impossibility, like a miracle from God himself, like the true gangster Comey is, James steps out into the cameras of an awaiting press conference. I remember watching it. And he gives this press conference, and we all thought that this is it. And what did he do? However, he exonerates her from any wrongdoing. Shocking. It goes on and on. Rosenstein becomes the Assistant Attorney General. Comey gets fired based upon a letter by Rosenstein. Comey leaks government information to the press. Mueller is assigned to the Russian investigation sham by Rosenstein to provide cover for decades of crimes within the FBI and the Department of Justice, and on it goes. All the same players, all compromised, all working fervently to not go to jail, all connected in one way or another to the Clintons. They say they're like battery acid, like they corrode and corrupt everything they touch. As of this writing, the Clinton Foundation is in its 20+ years of operation, of being the largest international charity fund or charity fraud in history of mankind, has never been audited by the IRS. Is that shocking? Never had an audit. Let us not forget that Comey's brother, Jim Comey, his brother works for DLA Piper, the law firm that does the Clinton Foundation's taxes. You can't make this up. It's like one big happy family, isn't it? The person who's the common denominator in all these crimes we're talking about and has managed to escape legal justice, yes, Hillary Rodham Clinton. And just about done. Hang on. Now, who is Lisa Barsumian? And this is new to me. I had to look her up to make sure that they were right. And I found out they are right. Who is Lisa Barsumian? Funny name. Let's learn a little about Lisa, her background. She is an attorney that graduated from Georgetown Law, protege of James Comey and Robert Mueller. They're like that. She represented Robert Mueller 3 times, James Comey 5 times, Barack Obama 45 times, Kathleen Sebelius 56 times, Bill Clinton 40 times, Hillary Clinton 17 times. That's who she is. Between 1998 and 2017, Barsumian herself represented the FBI at least 5 times. You may be saying to yourself, okay, who cares? Who cares about the work history of this Barsumian woman? Apparently someone does, because someone out there cares so much that they've purged all her court documents for the Clinton representation in the Hamburg versus Clinton. Now, I can't prove that, and that's one of the things that Snopes claims isn't true, and I don't know, don't really care. Historically, this individual is a protected CIA operative. Additionally, Barsumian has specialized in opposing Freedom of Information Act requests on behalf of her intelligence community. And there's more here, but you say it's a cover, so big deal, right? What does one more attorney with ties to the intelligence community really matter? It deals with Trump and his recent tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum imports, the border wall, DACA, everything coming out of California, the Uni Party, unrelating opposition to President Trump, and Clapper leaks and Comey leaks, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions' recusal, and 14-month nap with the occasional forays into the marijuana legalization stuff. And last but not least, Mueller's never-ending investigation into collusion between Trump team and the Russians. Why does Barr, a CIA operative, why does she merit our attention tonight? And here's what they say. This is shocking. Because this Miss Lisa Mariosian, or Mariosian, or however you say her name, happens to be the wife of Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. What do? It's one big happy family that is set out to destroy our president and to hang on to the power of the government and the deep state and to continue to push America towards the global one world system. That's exactly what's going on. Now, there's a lot to digest there. But, you know, what do you do? So the question of the day, again, is where's Mr. Sessions? Now, the Q person, and again, I don't know if Q is real or not. I don't know. And I try to deal in facts. I don't know. But they're saying that this Q guy is saying that there's a coup going on behind the scenes with Mr. Trump's government and the military. And they believe that Mr. Sessions is in fact working behind the scenes, and Donald Trump knows it, and he's only attacking him for political reasons. And one of these days it's all going to come out. They've got sealed indictments. One can only hope. But I don't know. I'm not going to put my trust in that scenario because I've got no facts or proof to back that up. But we can hope, right? So feel free to comment if you got an opinion. But better be praying for your nation. Better be praying for your president. Let's make sure we're on the right side. Let's make sure we're on the side of justice and righteousness, okay? We'll see you next time.